So, you probably remember from my top 10 video that I love Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? If you too love Avatar: The Last Airbender, please leave the room. If you love M. Night Shyamalan, leave the freaking room! I swear, if one of you guys defends this person's filmmaking ability, I'm going to shoot you down like a one-winged duck and turn you into fricassee! But I guess a little bit of backstory would be appropriate. In 2005, an animated show came out on the slowly dying network Nickelodeon. This show was called Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it was an instant hit. Critics loved it, fans loved it, and audiences loved it. And as the show went on, it only got better and better, to a point where people have called it one of the best shows of the last 2 decades. So, 5 years later, M. Night Shyamalan I don't like M. Night Shyamalan's movies. I know that's not saying much after such blunders like Signs, The Happening, The Village, Lady in the Water, After Earth. But I really don't like his movies. I mean, I didn't even like Sixth Sense that much, and people say that's his best. And the worst thing about it is that he doesn't even accept that he made mistakes.
They just don't get you.
They've never got me, and it's getting worse. And I also think that I'm getting more, influenced by other cultures more, as you can see from the movie. And so I'm not doing like a straight up American movie anymore. The tonalities are changing. You know, I always had a European sensibility to my movies, so the pacing is always a little bit off for them, you know, and it feels a little stilted, and they need more electricity and all that stuff. And I'm like, this is the way I think of things.
So you're trying to tell us that your critics are stupid, our opinions are stupid, and foreign films are superior over American ones. Well, we're off to a good start then. The Last Airbender is, without question, one of the worst, most offensive adaptations of a successful creation I have ever seen. Oh yeah, you heard me right. This is worse than Batman and Robin. This is worse than the Super Mario Brothers movie. This is worse than... We'll get to that one later, but even still, this is one of, if not the worst movie I've ever had the displeasure to witness. And if you haven't left the video by now, too late, you mothers, the train has already departed and you're a passenger. This is The Last Airbender. Would you believe me that this movie already shows every reason why it fails in the first minutes? I am dead serious. Everything wrong in this movie is shown in the first 5 minutes, if not less. So I've got my little checklist here, and we'll just check off all the little problems in this movie one by one, shall we? So, after the title we get the famous intro scene, and the Chinese symbols in the background are just squiggly lines. Well, that didn't take long. One of the many great things about the original show was how culturally aware it was. It knew exactly what nation represented what culture and what their ethics and customs were. So the Fire Nation represented the Japanese, the Earth Kingdom was China, the Water Tribe was obviously the Inuit tribes, and the Air Nomads symbolized Tibetan Buddhist monks. The show used many symbols and cultural customs to create the world of the 4 nations, and that made the world so much more believable and alive. But this flick doesn't even get the basics right! I mean, instead of simply copying the Chinese symbols from the original intro, they just replace them with squiggly lines that don't even mean anything. And if Shyamalan can't even get that right, I don't really have high hopes for the rest of the film. Also, the bending looks like spastic flailing. Amazing. In the show, all the motions used for bending were fluent. The element and the fighter worked as one, and it all looked very natural. But here, it's all like... I want to watch bending battles, not some guys having seizures! Hey, remember how the original intro summed everything up in about 30 seconds and left no one confused or left out? Guess what? Star Wars text! Yeah! Cause everybody loves slow, boring text scrolls, right? And they don't even do it right, just listen!
The four nations, water, earth, fire, and air nomads lived amongst each other in harmony.
Gee, I completely forgot about the water nomads, the earth nomads, and the fire nomads.
The Avatar was the only person born amongst all the nations who could master all four elements.
Excuse me, how do you pronounce that?
Avatar.
It's Avatar.
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 Avatar. And then 100 years ago, he just disappeared.
So, let's count off the things that this text forgot to tell us, shall we? Who this girl talking is, or what her connections to the story are. Anything about the war or the Fire Nation. Anything about the 100 years that have passed. Anything about the men and warriors leaving the Southern Water Tribe. Congratulations, Shyamalan. You haven't told us that much of importance, so I'm gonna have to revoke your directing license. Oh, if it only was so easy. Well, at least the film opens at the same setting as the show, the South Pole. Here we see some chick water bending, which is weird because there's only one waterbender left in the Southern Water Tribe, and this kid is obviously not... Katara? Is that you? What happened? Why are you white? I mean, I know there's not a lot of sun at the South Pole, but this is really stretching it. Man, if that is Katara, I don't even want to know what... Oh my god, Sokka! What did they do to you? Why are you Blandymech Whiteface?
Are you sure?
But I guess I'll be fine with some less than stellar casting. If the acting is still good... I just jinxed it, didn't I?
Sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, it worked better that time. I thought about Mom. Isn't that strange?
Oh, oh god, this is agony! Hey kids, let's play Spot the Difference.
Why is it that every time you play with magic water, I get soaked?
Now this.
Stop doing that stuff around me. I always get wet.
Don't see it? Then you're freaking blind! And probably asleep. Also, if you can't act more believable and three-dimensional than a drawn image on a screen, then you have some serious rethinking to do.
I watched what side of the fin tracks are more indented. That shows you which direction they're going. I saw how long the drag skids are. That shows you how fast they're going.
After this completely unnecessary bit of dialogue, they hear something under the ice, and so they do what every person who knows about frozen pools of water would do. They try to break the very ice they are standing on. For people who have spent their entire lives in the Antarctic, these guys are surprisingly stupid.
Move away from the cracks!
So we get a look at Aang, frozen in the iceberg, and Katara just whacks it with a stick. Yeah, she did the same thing in the actual episode, but I'd still say it's better done in the show, because there she actually says why she does it.
He's alive! We have to help!
Katara!
As opposed to just hitting the giant ball of icy death because she just can. But hey, we can at least get away from these bland sods and look at our main character, who is this bald hobbit. What? You know what? I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he looks like a Bruce Willis midget, because Finally, we have our main character, the fun-loving adventurer Aang. Do you remember how he woke up in the show?
I need to ask you something.
What?
Please, come closer.
What is it?
Will you go penguin sledding with me?
Sure.
That was hilarious! Can he finally breathe some life into this dreary picture?
How did you get here? How did you get in the ice?
Even Aang is bland! Oh no, he isn't just bland. He is blander than white bread topped with unflavored oatmeal dipped into grey paint! And no, this is not the actor's fault. I've seen several interviews with Noah Ringer, and he seems like a decent, affable young kid. And if you look closely, you'll notice that he falls into all the Shyamalan cliches. The bland expression, the long pauses, the low whisper. Shyamalan sucked the good out of this performance! Hey, this is humor! So they take him back to their village, where Katara and Aang exchange some pointlessly bland dialogue.
How'd you get all the way out here?
I ran away from home.
Oh, I see.
It wasn't very smart. I was just upset. Thanks for saving me.
Lucky.
I probably should get home.
You're not still upset?
Not as much as I was.
Well, this was boring. Let's see what the Fire Nation is doing. Oh, hell yeah! There's one of those awesome ice cutter ships! They're invading the village! Finally time for some action here! Here are the soldiers that Sokka isn't fighting. Okay. And now, we finally see the banished prince, the son of the Fire Lord, Prince Zudev Patel? But he's Indian! The Fire Nation was obviously based on Japan, with their customs of honor, warrior spirit, technological advancement, and tea drinking. I don't remember many Indians running around the Fire Nation, but imagining the Fire Nation with an Indian accent is pretty damn hilarious.
That light came from an incredibly powerful source. It has to be him.
It is just the celestial lights. We bring down this road we bore, Prince Zuko. I am not wanting you to be getting too excited over nothing. Oh, apologies to Indian people. I love you guys. You're awesome.
I am Prince Zuko, son of Fire Lord Ozai and heir to the throne.
Also, is that supposed to be his scar? Zuko's scar was a symbol of his shame that he felt towards his people and his father, not something you could cover with a freaking band-aid! But I guess I shouldn't complain. Dev Patel is by far the best actor in this movie, and you can really tell that he's trying. It's just that the script is so goddamn horrendous that he has nothing to work with. So Aang, instead of trying to bravely defend the village like he did in the show, is captured whilst trying to hide. A hero, ladies and gentlemen. Made you look. Duck, whatever.
They dragged Mom away the same way when we were babies.
No, they didn't. They killed her in the village. You would know that if you actually watched the show!
We found that boy. He's our responsibility. We should fight.
So Katara begins to feel for the boy, who she only exchanged, 2 sentences with, and feels that Sokka and she should go and put themselves into mortal danger because she feels that. Yeah, sure, right. So they go outside and see, oh my goodness, Appa! All aboard the Nope train! Choo-choo! Oh, thank God we're at the Fire Nation again. So there's this Persian dude who...
My nephew wants me to perform a little test on you.
No. No. Iroh is not freaking Iranian! He's even got a Persian accent!
I assure you it won't hurt. I've performed it hundreds of times, and it only takes a few moments, and then you're free to go.
I am very sorry for the inconvenience, Avatar. Can I offer you some chai or some gourmet sabzi? I won't take taro for an answer. We cut back to the village, where Katara and Sokka find out that Aang is an airbender. Wait, they always knew that. In the cartoon, they found out that Aang is an airbender because he was friggin' airbending. No long exposition dumps, no stupid dialogues, just bending. Quick and simple. Use it! And that logically means that he is the Avatar, because the next Avatar after Roku, who is never shown in this movie, was supposed to be an airbender, and Aang is the last airbender. If the screenwriting wasn't as dumb as a lobotomized brick, the characters wouldn't be equally stupid.
And it is in the heart that all wars are won.
Yeah, a quick stab to the heart maybe. So we're back at the ship where should I say Iroh, performs a test to find out if the last airbender really is the last airbender. Wait, let me try to follow the movie's logic here. That didn't work. And this test consists of this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this test implying that Aang is a little bald magnet for all things around him? That is freaking stupid. Well, at least we see some airbending here. At least that's a thing now. It still looks kind of dumb though. Also, don't you just adore how Katara and Sokka just expect Aang to get up that cliff without ever having seen him use that staff of his? Oh hey, you can fly, we're totally gonna ignore that.
The Fire Nation is up to something.
Yeah, think!
We're going with you.
So they fly away to the Southern Air Temple, where Katara again ignores the rules of show don't tell.
Aang flew us to his home. He told us how he left there in a storm on Appa and got forced into the ocean where they almost drowned. Aang airbended a sphere around them and ice formed, and he couldn't remember anything after that.
I went to the store today to buy some eggs when suddenly a giant beetle burst out of the ground below me. It twinkled in colors that I didn't even know existed, and it told me things that I cannot describe in a voice that I cannot explain. Then it exploded into a rainbow of light, and I knew life was fleeting and I should salvage it. Then I went back home and remembered that I forgot to buy the eggs.
Is it okay if you tell me your name?
The monks named me Aang.
Wait a second, you didn't ask for his name? He took you on a trip around the globe and you didn't ask for his name? What is up with this movie? So Aang finds out that all the air nomads are dead, and he goes into the Avatar state where... Whoa! Where is he now? No, seriously, where is he? I have no idea what this place is supposed to be. Can someone help me figure this out?
The Avatar. Where have you been?
Oh my god, a dragon! I thought those things were... extinct. And they didn't talk. So wait. Blue tint everywhere. Forest. A talking dragon. Is this supposed to be the spirit world? A couple of lanterns hung up in the public park? Are you kidding me? Also, remember how poignant this scene was in the original? Take a wild guess what it's like here.
The banished prince. Let's offer him lunch.
Wondering who this guy is? This is General Zhao, yeah, who would have guessed? And he spits exposition like there's no tomorrow.
As you know, the Fire Lord has banished his son, the Prince, and renounced his love of him, and will not let him return to the throne unless he finds the Avatar. For example, it seems I need to remind Prince Zuko that during his banishment, he is an enemy of the Fire Nation and is not allowed to wear the Fire Nation uniform.
One day my father will take me back, and you will bow before me.
But at least we get a little emotion out of the actors. Dev Patel pulls the anger off very nicely, and Iroh's actor does a pretty good job as the concerned family member. Oh great, we're with these guys again. Can't wait for more bland.
What is this? That child is being arrested.
For what?
He was bending tiny stones at us from behind a tree. It really hurt.
I'm a terrifying member of the Fire Nation. Tremble before me!
She's a bender.
Katara!
So they get thrown into a prison for earthbenders. That is... Okay. So, wait. The prison made for people who can manipulate and weaponize Earth is mostly made of Earth. That is so freaking stupid. I cannot even get over this. You make a prison for earthbenders out of Earth? That is like making a fortress for homicidal maniacs out of freaking knives!
Earthbenders! Why are you acting this way? You are powerful and amazing people. You don't
So Aang pulls a Braveheart speech right out of his hoodie, whilst the Fire Nation soldiers just stand and stare.
There's Earth right beneath your feet.
You don't say, Sherlock!
The ground is an extension of who you are. Leave him alone.
Are villains, everybody. When they are not whining about little kids throwing pebbles at them, they are pushed around by little girls. Also, do you see the problem with this scene? Let's take another look at it.
Okay? Everybody can help us now!
Do you see it? Let me enlighten you. There are no cuts! The entire scene is one long, distracting, jumbled tracking shot. It makes the movie feel more like a stage play than a film. The characters in the background just stand around pointlessly. The action has to adapt to the camera, not the camera to the action, and it gives us such amazing moments like this. Really. That was earthbending for you, Shyamalan? A dance routine out of a Michael Jackson video? Let's look at what earthbending looked like in the show. Freaking awesome. And let's look at what it looks like here. And you know what the best thing about this dance routine with anger issues is? It doesn't do anything! After they have their little stomping session, we see one rock fly through the picture, and that rock is being bent by another guy! Earthbending is supposed to be this badass way of battle that required strength, tenacity, and creativity, not something you can see in Equestria Girls! So the soldiers are defeated with no effort at all, and the gang is given this scroll that in this movie has nearly no purpose at all other than existing.
They took away any tools related to bending.
Yeah, nice read there, Ikeda. Though I shouldn't complain, he's probably the only East Asian character in the entire movie.
Aang was practicing, but for some reason, he was having trouble with waterbending.
He was having trouble with waterbending? He was a natural! He was better than Katara herself, and that made her jealous, and all that led to a very finely crafted emotional moment. See, the problem is, all this movie does is exposition. No soul, no heart, just cold, hard facts. But the problem is that even though all the characters have been reduced to exposition-spewing robots, they don't even get the exposition right! We're back at the Fire Nation, where Zhao is meeting up with this dude who's dressed up like a centurion from Asterix. Who is this guy supposed to be? Like a general? Or an advisor? Or the Fire Lord? That's the Fire... Oh, I'm convinced. Everyone who was researching the show whilst making this movie was high on chloroform. It's the only logical conclusion. Alright guys, alright. You know what I've noticed? That kid is bald. Let's make a movie about him. The fans are gonna love us. I am an angel! Back at Zuko's, we get this very odd exposition dump.
Hey, little one, come here. Tell me what you know about the prince.
He did something wrong.
He spoke out of turn.
Because recounting recent history to hooded suspicious strangers is totally what happens in real life.
Then Prince Zuko was sentenced to an Agni Ki duel. Then the father burnt his son to teach him a lesson.
Black eye just asked me to tell him about the banished prince. Oh my god, where did he touch you? Oh geez, we're back with the white bread. So Aang wants to visit the Northern Air Temple because... Let's let the Katara wannabe explain.
He had a vision at the Southern Air Temple prayer field. He talked to a dragon spirit who he thinks can help us. He thinks if he goes to another spiritual place, he can get back to the spirit world.
Is it just me or does she constantly sound out of breath? She aspirates her lines more than an exhaust fan.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Sokka says it's too dangerous to go, but Aang decides to go to the Air Temple anyway, leaving his friends behind. In the wilderness, hunted by the Fire Nation, with no means of transportation. You know, I've started taking excessive amounts of analgesics about 40 minutes ago, so I don't even care at this point. I can't feel my fingers. And sure enough, they do catch him. But Aang is freed by Animal's smurf-faced cousin. God, the fight scenes with Aang suck. They all consist of twirling around and the Fire Nation warriors dumbfoundedly loitering. Wait, what was that? What the hell was that? That looked really exciting! Cut back to that! More airbending? Jeez, and just when I thought things were gonna get a little bit... Oh my god, it's happening! Good action! Stop teasing me, you damn castrator of fun! So the masked heavy metaler takes Aang hostage, but he's knocked out and it's revealed that he's Zuko!
What a twist!
Nope, not gonna steal jokes. So, the point of this scene was to get Aang captured, just to set him free again. Fantastic. Well, wasn't that pointless? Let's see more of Zhao spouting exposition to the Fire Lord.
And how did he escape?
I fear that your son is not only incompetent, but also a traitor.
Why aren't they showing his face? Are they seriously trying what they think they are trying? They are! They are trying to keep his face a mystery after they've already revealed his face! Twice! And you know, when you are ripping off the Inspector Gadget movie, you have to seriously replan your career. See, it's the little things that make this movie so incredibly awkward. In this scene, all we see for a while is Iroh's head. But then the camera pans around as if showing us a big reveal when really he's getting his feet massaged. Huh. No dramatic exposure, no funny surprise, he's just getting a pedicure. Huh. What if I did reveals like that? I have a terrible confession to make. All this time, I have secretly been eating chicken! Bland, Blander and Blandest finally arrive at the North Pole, where Sokka falls in love with Princess Yue.
My brother and the princess became friends right away.
What's that? You think that falling in love simply by looking at each other is not only completely unrealistic, but also rushed story-wise? Well, get in line, because the same thing is thought by everyone else. Christ, this movie drags. But hey, at least they're at the North Pole, and that's at the very end of the season, so there shouldn't be more left, should there? 55 minutes? We're 55 minutes in! I have to endure 40 minutes more of this hot steaming mess! Unprepared! Alright then, movie, if you want to play this game, let's speed things up a little. Zhao sets out to kill the ocean spirit, Yue and Sokka exposition a little bit more but romantically, and Aang learns some very slow water bending. Or some even slow Tai Chi. Really slow Tai Chi. Oh, thank God, things are happening! That's more than what has happened throughout this entire movie! The Fire Nation is attacking, and Aang, instead of bravely setting out to destroy the oncoming fleet, sits inside and meditates. Sure, he did that in the show too, but at least he tried to fight. But I shouldn't complain, because the fighting in this movie is so goddamn slow that I could probably cook a cup of tea out of the water that they are bending before it even reaches me!
Some of the great monks can meditate for 4 days.
Gee, thanks incredibly stone-faced and creepily dead-hearted Aang. I'm sure that line was necessary for our understanding of this movie. I can't. I just can't. Zuko appears to kidnap Aang, and now we can finally see what kind of a badass waterbender Katara now is. Perfect. Our heroes, everybody. About as emotionful as a teaspoon, and about as adept at fighting as well. So the Water Tribe prepares to fight, steeling themselves with probably the jazziest war cry ever. Here's another weird thing I haven't brought up. The firebenders in this movie cannot generate fire. And believe me or not, but this is one of the only choices in this movie that I really can get behind. Why? It's actually surprisingly simple. What is a bender? Someone who bends the elements to their will. Airbenders use the air around them, earthbenders use the soil or rock that they stand on, and waterbenders use either water that they carry around with them in a satchel, water from trees and plants around them, or simply bodies of water on location. But what do firebenders use to make fire? You could make the argument that they heat up the oxygen in the air to burn, but it's never really explained. So, firebenders are not so much firebenders as they are fire makers. So having them actually bend fire is something that I completely understand. But the problem is that air and earth are pretty much everywhere on the planet, and water isn't really hard to rustle up, even on dry land. But I don't really remember many open fires in nature. So firebenders are pretty much forced to carry torches or some other form of fire around with them in order to bend. And that not only makes the action especially awkward and slow, but it also makes the Fire Nation incredibly non-threatening, because you could defeat them with a pail of water. Or a blanket.
Prince Zuko's here in the city. He took Ong again.
No, my best friend has been kidnapped. I'm so emotionally torn up. So, Zuko stays in the city where people are looking for him for some reason, whilst Aang goes back to the spirit world to talk to the dragon or whatever.
Please, tell me how to beat the Fire Nation.
You are not dealing with the loss of your people and your responsibility for their deaths. As the Avatar, you are not meant to hurt others. Okay. I'm going to play this scene again. Just to prove to myself that either I've just lost my hearing or gone completely insane. Because there is no way that anyone, anywhere, could be this stupid. So, here we go. As the Avatar, you are not meant to hurt others.
When I was a child, I didn't know what good entertainment was if it kicked me in the teeth. In fact, I was so unknowing of what made a good story good, because that the first question I'd ask if someone told me about a movie or a book or something, my first question was, does anyone die? Bad, I know. Because I was all about the shooting and the killing and explosions and all that. Because I was, I don't know, 10, 11. Kid. But then my father, after we moved into this house, my father bought this thing that I've wanted since, I don't know, since always. It was a satellite dish. I've always wanted a satellite dish, and I wanted it for one single reason. Nickelodeon. I loved Nickelodeon. I had seen Nickelodeon when I was at my grandparents' house. I adored it, and I've always wanted it. And then he got a satellite dish, and we finally could watch Nickelodeon. And it was amazing. It had all my favorite shows. It had Jimmy Neutron, it had SpongeBob, it had Fairly Odd Parents, it had, I don't know, tons more. It was amazing. I loved it. And then, in 2005, I think, after I just watched an episode of Danny Phantom, I think, and then there came this ad for this new show called Avatar: The Last Airbender. It was gonna come out in like 2 weeks, and I was hyped because I just saw people throwing fireballs and flying and throwing giant rocks, and it was amazing. It was amazing, and I thought this was gonna be the best show ever. And then it came out, and it was amazing, and it was all that it was hyped up to be. But then, like, after a while, after watching it, my little child self began to realize something. I began to notice that this show was much more than just throwing fireballs and explosions. Because there was this very deep emotional conflict going on. Because the main character, Aang, was a pacifist. And he was at some point forced to choose whether he would follow his own moral ideals that he was taught as a kid from the monks, or if he was gonna follow his responsibility as the Avatar to save mankind. And that was a very deep message. And that was the first time I realized how deep a story really could be. And it made me reread the Harry Potter books, which is probably my favorite book series of all time. It made me watch Trigun, which I knew, but I had stopped after like episode 5 because it stopped being fun, I thought, at the time. And I loved Trigun from that day on, after I realized how deep stories could be. And I think this show generally influenced me as a person. It made me love fiction. It made me love film. That's why I think of going into the film industry, perhaps. If it all works out well. And it just made me sit in front of the camera. And to see it being desecrated like this is truly beyond believing. It is beyond reality. It was the monks that said the Avatar should not kill. It was not the duty of the Avatar. The entire inner conflict of Aang is that he doesn't know how to balance the responsibility of being the savior of the world and his own moral standpoints. And that's what made the show so deep to begin with, the emotional struggle of the protagonists. And the sole fact that such a great story is sacrificed by this wishy-washy goody two-shoes bullcrap is deplorable. The Avatar's not meant to hurt others. Are you serious? If that were true, how do you call this? All this. or even that. Yeah, I bet that didn't hurt him at all. Shyamalan obviously has no understanding of the show because he obviously didn't watch it. And if he did, he was probably not paying any attention. He does not get how to make the characters likable, how to construct anything closely resembling emotional or dramatic tension, and how to keep the audience entertained. And since this entire emotional conflict is what the climax of the third season hinges on, Shyamalan successfully ruined not only this movie, but also any kind of sequel that was supposed to be made. I'll rephrase that for you. This movie is so bad that it ruins the sequels out of existence. They are no more. They never were. It doesn't just ruin the sequels in a figurative sense, it ruins them in a literal sense too. This movie alters reality!
Use the ocean. Show them the power of water.
Yeah, this movie's hurt me bad enough. Let's just get this crap over with. Aang wakes up after the dragon talks to him. And he escapes Zuko, who I think the Arctic cold has finally gotten to. Ah yes, the Prince of the Fire Nation, fooled by wobbling pots and a prank that I used to play in kindergarten.
The dragon spirit talked to me. I know what to do.
Oh! Right! Because the dragon told you so much of importance.
Show them the power of water.
Yes, the power of water. So profound. Iroh and Zhao go to the spiritual garden where Iroh, for some reason, just lets Zhao walk up to the ocean spirit, kidnap it, and lets him kill it. And all the waterbenders lose their bending, which, well, wasn't that great to begin with, quite frankly. This, of course, makes Iroh very angry, to the point where we zoom so far up his eye that I think I can see his brain. And then he does this. So, wait. The firebenders cannot generate fire. But Iroh can. Because his sweat is made of kerosene. I have no idea. And then he lets Zhao escape. Who cares? I don't care. Obviously. Yue sacrifices her life to save the moon, with such fabulous last words like these.
It's time we show the Fire Nation that we believe in our beliefs as much as they believe in theirs.
I personally believe...
Don't play that clip, it physically hurts me. So the moon is back, Yue's dead, and Zhao is confronted by Zuko. I'm a vampire, yeah! Zhao gets off by waterbenders, which, well, isn't as awesome as being dragged to the bottom of the sea by a giant iguana fish Godzilla!
Training for the ballet, Potter!
Since Aang isn't supposed to hurt others, he makes his way through the Fire Nation troop by pretty much hurting every single one he comes across, and he beats the Fire Nation by... just look. Aang just masters the Avatar state without ever visiting the Guru, and instead of turning into a giant iguana fish Godzilla, he raises a wave that just kinda stuns everyone around him. after making a giant tsunami wave, he just lowers it. And the Fire Nation flees. Just like that. And so the movie finally dies with everyone bowing to Aang and Aang, I don't know, offering them drinks. But we can't end this movie without some more useless exposition.
Sozin's comet is returning in 3 years. That is the day we will win this war and prove the Fire Nation's dominance. Do you accept this unspeakably important task I'm putting in your hands?
I do, Father.
Oh, go to hell, you succubus of talent and goodness. This movie is beyond description. The word bad doesn't encapsulate its badness. It's a broomstick up the ass of decency and goodness. The action is more boring than watching grass grow, the characters are about as emotional as a wall, and the writing is so pretentious and so uninteresting that any amount of caring one has for the characters is reduced either to indifference or malevolence. It fails on every single level that it tackles, and even on the levels that it doesn't tackle. It fails on those too. This movie should be drowned, stoned, and burnt at the stake. And thank God that I'm done with it, because I don't think I could stand any more.
Now wait just a minute.
Who are you?
I am a proud member of the Earth Kingdom, and I have come to make you pay for what you have said about my people.
Earth Kingdom? But you're white!
I was adopted.
Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Huh. Well, I'm sorry, but I just did not like the bending. It looked like something out of a Backstreet Boys performance.
I don't care. You have dragged my people's good name through the dirt.
Literally.
Enough! I will not stand this insolence any longer. For slandering my people, I will bend this very rock through your very skull.
Oh, please don't.
Oh, but I will. Let me just prepare myself. That'll teach you. You don't mess with the mighty Earthbender.